here. We got something over here that I might want to sell. Hempen bandana, brass spectacles, straw hat. Doctor's chain scarf. Plundered goggles. Don't need this. Don't need this. I'm in level 17. Don't need this. What else do I not need right now? Heavy iron armor. Oh, that was a weird thing, wasn't that? Weather tunic, plundered cuirass. Don't need that. Yeah, I don't need that. Aha! Hello world. It is I, once again, your boy, here to do some D&D stuff. Just grooving in the music after a long day of work. Good vibes. But without much further ado, I want to head into the topic of today's stream, which is going to be preparing for the West Marches campaign. The unexplored area of the world where no one's ever been or dared to venture. What does the world look like? Who lives there? What mysteries does it hold? Today, we shall take one step closer to try to find that out for ourselves. A friend pointed out to me earlier that, like, if I run this in the spring, I'm going to be a part of 3 D&D campaigns at the same time, which is one too many for me. But I think I can manage. I think I have just the right amount of time in the schedule for that. Like, barely. TBH, I think I'll be like actually just pushing it just a little bit. Pushing my schedule, pushing my time constraints a little bit. Tiny bit, not much. But just a bit. I would like super block up my calendar. But, I mean, there's always stuff I can drop in exchange for this. In exchange to run the games in this campaign, so. Something I'm willing to do in the meantime as we search for more. It's more DMs start to volunteer to take on this campaign as well. Because right now it's like 1 DM, 20 people. This is quite a lot of people. Well, 19 people, I think. No, 20. But yeah. We'll see. Chances are people will drop off like as it starts as well, so I don't think it'll be that bad. But I think like once the ball is rolling, people will start taking interest. Slowly but surely. It's more of a community event than anything else, right? A Discord server full of nerds and a D&D game that anyone can join. What could possibly go wrong? Okay. So, let me go ahead and share my screen here. That came out like as if I was like in a meeting at work. Hey, let me go ahead and share my screen here. But, God, I need some kind of like separation that like brings me out of work and back into my home life. I went on a walk before this to Starbucks to get a coffee. So, I should have done the trick, but honestly, the entire way my brain was just dead. I thought of absolutely nothing. So, as I promised from last Monday, I had put out a survey after we had done a decent bit of design to try and gauge player interest. Trying to understand, what they enjoy in D&D, what they don't enjoy in D&D, what they're looking forward to, the kinds of gameplay types that they most frequently revisit and enjoy. But then I actually asked like the big boy questions, which is the two questions that I've really wanted to get out of them. Number one is obviously if they will give me the credit card information. And apparently more than half of them said yes. So your boy's gonna get a lot of bank really fast. God bless these individuals. On a more serious note, I also asked them the options for setting up the campaign, to which they responded with a sneeze that I stifled just in case. Okay, so no, they responded with 4 options. I gave them 4 options. The first option was a 100-floor tower, very much like SAO or Tower of God. Kind of in that vein of like, here's an unexplored tower that's like X amount of floors large, and no one's ever been there, or it's been a while since adventurers have like actually been in there. No one knows what's in there. No one in the current civilization knows what's in there. And that's an interesting plot hook all by itself. Like any daring adventurer would want to push the boundaries of an already explored civilization would want to go there. The same way how there are people in our world right now that are still trying to find unexplored islands out in the open. Although I think majority of them are already bought out by millionaires, or billionaires. But I think it's a pretty alluring concept that there is this one place that is unexplored by civilization of the planet, and you get to be the first ones to step foot. That's an exciting thing for any adventurer that really wants to visit places that haven't been visited before. And so the other options I gave them was a classic kind of West Marches style world, like Monster Hunter world, where you come and you land in your boat in this entirely new world with like different ecosystems and everything else, and you are like trying to put your foot on the ground over there. And it doesn't necessarily to do with like, it could lead to colonization, and that'll be an interesting sub-narrative, but exploration is the key focus. Funnily enough, I think that exploration was the least chosen option out of the gameplay types that I'd offered. So I'm going to have to break the news to them at some point through this paper that I'm writing. This document that I'm writing for them. Other options I offered was like a planeswalking type of exploration where you can just hop between planes, kind of like Magic the Gathering, and each plane has like its own theme and stuff like that, which arguably is a different version of a reskin of a 100-floor tower, right? The other option again was an archipelago, a very like standard Pillars of Eternity 2 Deadfire kind of vibes, pirate adventure on the islands. And surprisingly, to my surprise, a lot of people preferred the archipelago over the classic fantasy. It's something that I wasn't expecting. I was expecting them to pick classic fantasy or the 100-floor tower. That was my expectation. I was close, but not as close as I thought I was, because apparently the split is more even than I had assumed it would be. My initial assumption was that it was going to be like a 45% split between the 100-floor tower and classic fantasy, and then you have a rest being a split between the planeswalking exploration section and the archipelago. In fact, the planeswalking section had not even had a single vote in before the stream started, so it just got a vote in. And this is where I think this is everyone, 19 players, 20 including me, 20 responses. And we have a tie between archipelago and 100-floor tower. As a DM, like I'm gonna take a executive decision here and use the 100-floor tower because it's a setting that people might not have explored before or seen, and I think it'd be an interesting design challenge. That's alluring to me as a DM and a designer, is try and design for a 100-floor tower. Like, how do you design progression for that? How do you design non-linear, well, slightly linear, but asynchronous progression between players? That's an interesting design challenge, and I'm super hyped to try and tackle that today. So I wanted to show you guys this this graph over here because that was really interesting as to what people wanted to see. And other than that, I also wanted to show this document that I'm working up on. Super primitive version. It's not gonna be the final version, but I've made like a few different subheadings, and then I have some rules and preferences, which is what the first things I filled up was like homebrew game rules and social game rules. As a DM, one thing that I've really learned to appreciate is a red square. It's a very, very important tool. If you aren't already using it on your table, I recommend it. If at any point during the session someone's uncomfortable, something happened, and you take a breather, you need to like pause the game, you put a red square emoji in chat, or you send it to the DM, and that's like a giant red cross. Stop. It's like a red card in soccer. That's the analogy. You're out of the game for a bit. As for homebrew game rules, I think people find this interesting. You can use any sourcebook of your choice, any Unearthed Arcana. So I really want to encourage people to try and do more Wizards playtest stuff, because I think that'll help Wizards kind of get more playtest data, but also I think it'd be cool to see that how it changes from our game and when it's officially released. I'm also allowing the creation of custom subclasses, so I'm down to like create subclasses for people. I always enjoy making subclasses and stuff like that, so I'm super down for that. One important rule I'm introducing is that you do not get bonuses from your race, like in the main books. Instead, you get the bonuses from the stats from your background, because it makes sense for me narratively that like your bonuses are from the work you put in versus your predisposition. So, and you just negotiate those with me, and it'll be pretty standard spread of like 2 to 3 ability, 2 to 3 ability point increases. And instead of rolling for a skill, you can choose to either roll or use a passive skill. Because sometimes when you're really good at something, and you're doing something that takes like a very low DC, but you still fail it, it feels really bad. Like if you're a monk, you should be able to hop over a fence. No problem. You should not be able to fail that roll. That should be an impossible roll to fail. So, choose a passive. Passive athletics. Passive acrobatics. Anyway. Today I'm going to try and bring it up here. This is our OneNote document from before. I'm going to try and... I want to try and tap into this a little bit. And we have a general idea of what we want to see, right? And I've had some conversations over the last week about what people would like to see and try to dig a little bit deeper into how we can cement those systems in place. And so today's a day I'm actually going to start taking a step towards that, trying to take a step towards ironing out the rule book effectively. Because you can have a general idea for your rules when you're making a board game, for example, but the board game rule book is the law. And you follow those rules word by word, right? And I think that there are a lot of players who defer to the rule books of D&D to be the only rules possible. So I'm going to try and create a framework for rules that we can abide by in this campaign specifically, and with this world setting that we have, the 100th floor tower. Okay, I'm going to stop saying 100 because that's an expectation. I'm going to say X floor tower because the players don't know how big the tower is. I know how big the tower is, but the players don't. So I'm going to try and use that as a starting point. Okay. Cracks knuckles. Let's get designing. I don't have a particular agenda as to how I'm going to start. But I think the place that makes most sense and that I'm trying to avoid the most is addressing progression. That's the thing I'm genuinely the most scared of, because I don't know how I'm going to design. Here, let me put it over here instead. Like, how to design for asynchronous progression. And that's like a huge challenge. Boop, boop, boop. So this is my design challenge for right now. And hopefully we can actually expand upon this a little bit more as time goes on and try to make it into a proper system in place. So initially, I don't know if you remember, we talked about it last Monday. We talked about using this model over here. This model assumes that you have a town in a classic West Marches style campaign setting, and that you have the cardinal directions to go in, north, northwest, northeast, and then you have the level rings. And this is like the most basic form of like progression node system, effectively. You cross level 1 node in the northwest direction storyline, and that is like the one level 1 stuff you're done. And then you go to like the other level 1 stuff and you level up. But you unlock level 2 ring. Pardon me. Obviously about to kick in soon. But this model is no longer going to work in a 100 floor tower, X floor tower setting. And so the real design challenge right now is to figure out like how we can make that work. So if you have any ideas in chat, feel free to let me know if you have any ideas about that. What I've got right now. It's interesting problem. 100 floors. I need to start drawing stuff because my brain's not gonna work unless I draw stuff. All right. So we have. Whoop, 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 whoop. Look at this tower of Hanoi. We have a tower, right? And each ring is basically a floor. And each floor is effectively its own world. It's its own like open world. Obviously limited size. It's not like Minecraft. The challenge here though is within this world, this mini world, how do we keep track of storylines and individual player levels? How do we create a mechanism for the highest higher reward mechanism for players to level up? At the same time, how do we manage the vanguard, the people who are clearing the floors and exploring further and further, to pushing the boundaries of how much has been explored? And how do we make it so that people can catch up really easily? And that's going to be the biggest challenge, I think. I don't have a proper answer to that yet. I think it's well, I think I mentioned earlier that the whole idea of like having players being able to participate in higher level content will make it more riskier for them and the party they're going with, but also will give them higher reward. And I think that's a great way to kind of catch up. But let's go ahead and actually like give numbers to that, like solid numbers to that. That's what I want. Solid numbers for that. So effectively what needs to happen is that there needs to be some way to let the players know that they're leveled up. And I don't know necessarily what that would look like. You know what I mean? I kind of want to try doing this. And I'm going to write my equations over here, basically. Let's go ahead and write some equations over here. It's a exponential graph, I want to say. No, it'll be linear, right? So I'm taking this graph over here, and I'm going to go ahead and try and apply it to level systems. I think that's the intent of this graph as well, like it was last time. I forgot the intent now. But it's basically going to be along the lines of, like, let's go ahead and say this. A level one adventurer needs one encounter. No, that's not the equation. The equation is an X level adventurer needs to clear X floors. But that wouldn't work, right? Because like if you have players who are starting at level 1, then they don't have a same metric to qualify with. An X level adventurer. This is the posit. This is the pre whatever. What's that word? Never mind. An X level adventure. An X adventurer. Next level adventurer requires X level X encounters to level up. So I want to try and do a little bit of thinking as to see if this is actually like a valid formula. So let's go ahead and make a small mind map over here and see if it's actually like viable. If it's like how fast would that hit level 20? That's the cap. 20 is level cap. So how fast would a person like that hit level 20? How many sessions would it take for them to hit level 20? If one session is one encounter, how many sessions would it take for someone to hit level 20? That's the test. So what we're really testing over here is, do we want a linear graph? Do we want a 2x graph? Or do we want an exponential graph? Let's try and evaluate the numbers here. So we have, if we take linear, it'll be factorial, right? Or no? It won't be factorial. It'll just be an addition of everything in the past. So, God, my math brain is like turned off right now. I did so much math today. So it's 20, only 20 factorial. It'll be 20. So 20 is the level cap. So a level 20 adventure only need to clear, a level 19 adventure will need to clear 19 levels to hit level 20, which is the max cap. Okay, cool. Good to know. If that's the case, then we're going to have 19 plus 18 plus 17 plus blah, 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 right? Until 1. What's the math equation for this? It's summation. It's sigma. It's sigma 19, where n, no, it's sigma n, where n is equal to 1 until 19. That's what it is. That's the equation. Okay. So, is there a function that can do this for me, please? Let's go to Google real quick. I'm so bad. Sigma 19. Sigma 19 n equals 1 to 19. Fuck. 19 plus 18 plus what's a series called? It's a series. 19 plus 19 plus 18. So, oh god, sum of 1 to 19. So, there we go. Thank you. 190. All right. Thank you. That's the formula. There we go. N to n plus 1 divided by 2. Oh, I'm such an idiot. Thank you. That makes it so easy, right? Like, that's the formula right there. So it's like n. So for a linear curve, it's n to n plus 1 divided by 2 integers. Let me go and write that a little bit more neatly. So this is what this is, and this is its notation in proper form. N to n plus 1 divided by 2. Pog. So in this case, we have an answer. It's 190. Amazing. So that tells us a decent bit, but not as much as I hoped. Well, maybe it does. Does 190 seem like a good number of sessions until you hit max level cap? That's a lot. That's a lot. If you're level That's a lot. Does that make sense? Does it check out? Hold on a second. My brain just exploding right now. Give me a sec. It makes sense, right? Because like if you just do from 10 to 19, that's already going to be over 90. Just because 10 times 9. Duh. Okay. Checks out. 190 makes sense. Almost 200. Almost 200 sessions. I think that's perfect. Actually, I'm not even going to bother. I think that's actually a really good number. This equation makes sense. I like it. I'm going to give this thing the gold check mark. Yes. We like linear. Without even considering any other. I'm kidding. We should consider 2x. I think exponential is a bit much. Because people will just race through the early levels quite fast. When they hit level, it's perfect, right? Because when they hit level like 10 sessions at level 11 is quite a lot of sessions, quite a lot of playtime. So linear progression curve actually is perfect. Nice, man! First time, first try. All right, so if we do take this for example, then what are you gonna have over here? Let's see. Let's take a quick gander at this. If we take 2x, how will this equation change at 2x? We just got to put 2n instead of n, right? So this is going to be sigma 2n, right? That's it. So sigma here. Why don't I just erase this and then like redraw this with red pen instead, just to like differentiate the two. This is a 2n curve. All right. So this is the case. We have sigma, 2n. That's the function of y equals 1, 19. So now we have 2n times 2n plus 1 divided by 2. And that's, can I abstract that? That just cancels, doesn't it? So it's just equal to, that would literally just cancel. Holy shit. Okay, cool. Sounds good. So that's just n times 2n plus 1. N times 2n plus 1. Right? Which is equal to, so that's 19 times 2 is 38. 38 plus 1, which is equal to 19 times 39, which is equal to... Nah, I'm not, you know what? I'm not gonna use my calculator. I'm gonna do this by hand because I need to brush up my math skills. Come on. Back in high school, like, if you couldn't do this kind of multiplication off the top of your head, you were like you weren't gonna get good marks. I'm kidding. Nah. I feel bad saying that now. But yeah, okay. 9 times 9, 81. So we have 1, we have 8 carryover. 9 times 3, 27. 27 plus 3 is 30. 30 plus 5, 35. So 351. We have 9 over here, then we have 3 over here. Then we add these two together. 3. This is 9. So we have 1. 5 plus 9 is 14 carryover. 1, 6, 741. Jesus Christ, 741. Math. Did I mess up my calculations? No, right? I'm pretty sure I got that right. Yeah. Checks out. 39 times 20 is like 18, 1, 6, 7. Yeah. This makes sense. Checks out. Calculation's right. Alright. So, well, we know now that exponential is out of the equation. We ain't doing n squared over here, baby. No, we're not doing that. I'm just going to delete this over here. Okay, assume we never did it. Never considered it. 741 is a big number. So I'm going to go ahead and make the comparison over here. So this is basically equal to y equals x curve, and this is a y. This is a y equals 2x curve. So that is currently what we're considering over here. Well, I didn't expect this to be a math stream, but you know what? Welcome to math. We're doing game balancing through math. That's the way it should be. All right, cool. So we do know that an X level adventure needs um, needs X level X encounters to level up. Cool. Checks out, homie. Checks out. Boop. All right. We like that. So 190 versus 741 is like a huge disparity. Um, Obviously, I can slow this down. If I wanted to get a kind of in between number, I could potentially use like. Could potentially use like a 5x4x function. I could also potentially use a 3x2. It's a 1.5 basically, 1.5x. I could do 1.2x. That could be actually maybe better. But then it would introduce decimal points, and that's like unclean numbers. So let's just take between x and 2x, and then x and 2x is a good like metric, because one's 190, it's 200 encounters versus 750 encounters. If I'm rounding it up, right? Then if that's the case, rounding it up to the nearest tens. If that's the case, then that's a 740 is way too much. No one's gonna play that much D&D for this campaign. I'd rather start a new campaign, honestly. And I think something interesting could happen if a player did reach level 20. What would happen to that player, right? Much more interesting to think about the consequences of what happens if that number is met, which is a huge improbability. But I think the scaling would check out. Methinks. And if our reward system includes some way to level up further, I don't know. I'm just saying that could be pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie. All right, cool. So we're taking. This is it. This is our way to design for asynchronous progression. But here comes two questions. What defines a level X encounter? And two, how do players know the level of an encounter? Good. Our answer to one question brings up two other important questions to answer our progression. This is the challenge for today. The challenge for today is just designing progression. That's kind of fun, actually. I enjoy that. I'm having a lot of fun with these graphs. All right, so we do have a pretty good idea as to how players know the level of an encounter. So what defines a level X encounter? So on an X floor tower, right? Again, I'm gonna bring this diagram over here. I'm gonna bring it up over here. Boop, boop, boop. I'm gonna go ahead and select this garbage and bring the garbage over here. Thank you very much. And I'm gonna go ahead and zoom back in. All right, so we have this garbage, which is our X floor tower world. On each floor, we need to find a way to define what an X level encounter is. A floor will only have some number of encounters on it. Okay, check this math out. Does it make sense for the X floor to have X number of encounters? What am I doing? That immediately breaks apart if you use induction hypothesis, right? Because you have a floor number 1, well, an induction hypothesis has only one encounter. And so you have floor number n will have n encounters on it. Therefore, floor number 20 will have 20 encounters on it. Floor number 2 will have 2 encounters on it. So initial scaling is going to be really rapid. It will only take players 1 session to get to floor number 2. Floor number 100 has 100 encounters on it. It breaks apart so easily. The thing is, like, designing for level progression is much easier than designing for encounter progression, because playtime is more easier to estimate than content time or content production. Content, I guess, yeah, number of content. To put it in an abstract form. Interesting design problem. So what defines a level X encounter? It could be a few things. Let's say each floor has a set number of encounters, right? And it could lead to complications. I'm thinking too narrowly. I'm thinking like as this is a video game. I need to stop thinking like a video game designer. I need to start thinking like a tabletop designer instead. The difference between the two is, in one, shit can really change the outcome of the other. I need to lean into that. I can't be constrained in how many encounters I put on the floor. What I should be considering is how much time people are putting into each floor. So instead of restricting my encounters to... instead of restricting the number of encounters that I have on per floor, I should be thinking about how much playtime I should be expecting. So here's the paradigm shift. All right, here's the paradigm shift. The paradigm shift is moving from the concept and notion of number of content, number of encounters, into playtime. And suddenly, the way we... that's terrible. I'm sorry. Not sorry. Number of encounters into playtime. And what I should really do is highlight this garbage. And, well, that didn't work. Highlight this garbage. And see if I can change the thickness of this brush. I can! Oh my god! Okay, cool. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no, stop. Don't do this to me. Alright. That's awesome. I didn't know we could do that. Alright, cool. There we go. It's a little bit more legible. I say this, but it's not legible at all. Alright. But the paradigm shift is, instead of thinking about number of encounters per floor, I should be thinking about the playtime per floor that the player should be expecting. So if an X level adventure goes, suppose we have let's say let's say a good beginning number. Let's say the adventure is level 3. All right, adventure is level 3. How many encounters do they need to do? How much time do they need to spend on a floor before they can progress and level up to the next? Level up. Yeah, how much playtime should they put in to level up? Is that proportional? We've already figured out that if an X level adventurer needs to do 190 encounters to hit the max cap of level 20, that's a decent number. So we should be using this number to our advantage. We know this scaling works. 190 is a healthy number. It means so that there are going to be very, very few people who get to level 15. Forget level 15, level 14. Very few people get to level 14. Right? If you do the math on this, 14 times 15 divided by 2, that's 7 times 15. That's still 100. That's still 100 encounters, roughly. 100 sessions of gameplay to get to level 150. And that's always mitigatable by rewards. So, that's good. Therefore, using this number over here, how can we create a way to know how much content to put on the floor? Right? So the better question to ask over here instead of these two is, the better question to ask between these two is, how many encounters are there per floor? How much time do we want players to spend per floor? And the good thing about this metric is that if we use this analogy of number of encounters into playtime, this conversion paradigm, then it becomes equivalent. It becomes equivalent because of this metric over here. I'm going in circles. Hold on a second. Thinking cap on. An X level adventurer needs X level X encounters to level up. I like that. We're keeping that. Okay. So number-wise, that makes sense. But playtime-wise, does that make sense? 190 sessions of D&D to get to level 20. My party, my baseline is right now, my party that I'm running in my other campaign, home campaign, is level 12, I think, and they've done 50 sessions. Yes, that does make sense. So and this is always iteratable. Like, I'm not cementing any of this. I'm trying to set up a baseline model that I can improve upon later. So, okay, yeah. Question doesn't change though. I need to know, like, how much time people are going to spend per floor. This is the important question to ask. And if this is going to be our baseline for how they level up, then like, how does this influence this answer? I feel like I'm missing something. I don't know what it is, but I feel like I'm missing something over here. I'm not entirely sure. I feel like it's gonna be something along the lines of also, if you guys have any ideas in chat, feel free to let me know. I'm thinking very hard right now. How much time do you want the players to spend before? Would it make my life any easier if I had a fixed number of encounters per floor? It would, right? It definitely would. Yes, it would. So it'll just actually like fix itself up. To spend per floor. Fixed number of encounters. Fixed number of encounters per floor. The number of encounters will not change per floor. It might, like, we'll see how it plays out, like IRL, and we'll change this idea. But the idea that there's a fixed number gives me a lot more satisfaction and resolution, because then I know that, like, I don't need to do too much work to know what's on a floor. That's already filled out by the players. So that's I'm taking. So again, I'm reaching my goal of doing minimal work. Only work I'm doing is setting the number of encounters per floor, and that players can like do whatever the hell they want with it. So if we use this model over here that we had kind of like drawn earlier, right, and we applied it to each floor, that's viable. What I gotta do is remove the level rings. If you remove the level rings and keep the cardinal directions, that works out pretty well, actually. What it means is that we're translating this into a node structure, or a directed acyclic graph. A directed cyclic graph, actually. Now that I'm thinking about it. So we're gonna have a graph something like this. So we're gonna have like red. We're gonna have a graph that looks something like this. So if you have F1, that's floor 1, right? This is a node. On F1, we will have like 3 storylines. 1, 2, 3. Right? This is where all the storylines start, for example. And maybe like there's a storyline that's a stub over here. It just ends as a stub. But like there are enough encounters on floor 1 that there are like, you know, whatever over here. So I think what I'm trying to draw right now is something slightly unrelated to the level up system, to the progression system. It's similar in the sense of narrative progression, but like it's not kind of to how many encounters per floor. No, it is. Okay, you know what? Let's just give a fucking number and see what happens. Substitution method. 4. Each floor has 4 encounters. Alright. Now, what the fuck do you want from me? Let's figure it out. Exciting. Okay, so we have four encounters. All right. So let's ignore the storyline stuff for now. We'll come back to this in a bit. Let me do the math here. So you have 4 encounters per floor. That means to get to 190 encounters, a player needs to do 190 divided by 4 floors, which is going to be 40 something floors, right? Like on the upper end, 30, like, yeah, roughly it's something like that. I don't know. 46, 47 floors. Not bad. Not bad. That's assuming that they're level 1 adventure and they're doing 4 encounters on each floor. So here's the thing. What that means is that an adventurer would do like why am I worried about this so much? Because I could just like literally like put a level in an encounter based on what level my players are at. I'm dumb. I could just totally improv that. 0 effort on my part. Right? I see like, okay, half my players are like the vanguard. Half of the characters on the party side are vanguard. Therefore, I will put like more higher level encounters. And I'll just like make that on the notice board. I'm like, hey, look, this encounter over here is a higher level encounter. Or what I could do is like iron out how many let me think about it for a second. If you have X encounters to level up, you're going to have to constantly push the boundaries of what you already seen or expected, basically. And at some point, like, so if you're level 4 adventure and you finished like 3 encounters on the level, let's say level 5 adventure, at that point, it starts to get a little bit more difficult, right? We'd be like, okay, I can dynamically change the encounter of the level of an encounter. I can dynamically change that based off of who wants to go where. I shouldn't restrain the places a player can go. A player should be able to go to any floor of their choice, ideally. Yes. That is the answer to my questions. There are 3 encounters. 3 encounter location. 3 POIs. 3 points. 3 points of interest per floor. There are 3 points of interest per floor and 1 dungeon. Boom. That's it. For now, this is it. A dungeon can actually take more than 1 encounter to clear. Yes. You can level up while you're in the dungeon. How long it is to clear a dungeon is up to the people, not to me. All I do is make the shit and make the locks and make the keys and scatter them about, and whoever can find them finds them, and whoever makes it through makes it through. I'm overcomplicating this for myself. I am. Genuinely am. I think level progression is a lot more easier to do if you're dynamically adapting to it versus narrative progression. I think narrative progression needs to be planned out a little bit more. Because in the case of number progression over here, like I could just be like, hey, level 4 adventure and level 4 dungeon. Okay. Like you've already finished. Maybe you finish your first encounter. And like you successfully. Yes. You finish 4 encounters. Therefore you're up to level 5. And you're still in level 4 dungeon. Does that make sense? Kind of, because the number of points of interest don't change. We. Because when you hit level 7, level 6, level 7, that's where you start to see a much more steeper incline in how long it takes for players to do stuff. Yeah. Alright. I'm feeling it now, because like level 6, I'm estimating that the average level of adventurers within this entire campaign is going to be average level 7, because it'll take people 7 times 8. So let's say 7 times 8. So 7 times 4 really, because divided by 2 in terms of this equation over here is Jesus 20. I'm so fucking dumb right now. 7 times 4 is what, guys? Come on. 28. It'll take a person 28 sessions to hit level 8, which is a good amount of commitment and progression for the amount of time you put in. Then, if you want to see rewards, you're going to put in even more time. Because when you hit level 8, you need to do 8 times 9, so 9 times 4 is 36. You do 36 sessions to hit level 9. Yeah. I like that. I like that scale. I think it checks out. And I think that the dungeons can be like higher level. And I don't have to hold back. I can actually like go even more ham the dungeons if that's the scaling we're trying to go for at the moment. And we can always change that on the fly. Like I'm going to iterate upon this anyway. So why am I afraid of going and just making that a blanket statement at the moment? We'll see how it turns out, and then we'll actually adapt as we go. Okay, let's say we have 3 points of interest before, which are these 3 general areas where quests like happen, where like rumors are spreading around about before. That's fixed. Therefore, like when you hit like higher levels, you need to clear multiple floors in order to be the next level. So 3 points of interest before and 1 dungeon. An encounter is scaled in level. Here we go. I have a better one. The level of an encounter, the difficulty level of an encounter on a floor is directly proportional, is equal to highest party member level plus 2 plus 1 plus 1 or plus 2. Just to up the stakes a bit. Yeah, that would increase the stakes of difficulty. So like if I'm using CR, which I'm not using CR, but if I'm using CR as an analogy, it'll be like level 1 party fights a level 2 encounter to level up effectively. A level 7 party will have to fight a level 9 encounter to level up. A level 8, level 9 encounter to level up. Not a lot to level up, but just like that's the kind of encounter they will face. You can have a party with a level 7 adventurer, level 5 adventurer, level 4 adventurer, level 1 adventurer, but the encounter will be skilled to level 8. So level 1 adventurer has a high risk of dying. Therefore, it's a high risk, high reward, and if the level 1 adventurer does clear the encounter level that's level 8, they will basically like skip the number of encounters they need to level up. Checks out. What's the math on that, though? What's the math on that? If a level 1 adventure goes to level 8 encounter, how many X's can they skip according to this equation? According to this equation, how many levels will they skip? Level 2? Does this make sense? Will this blanking statement make sense? In chat, you like might tell me out if this makes sense. If a level 2, if a level 1, if a okay, level X, okay. If a level X encounter, level X adventurer clears level 2X or higher encounter, they get to level 2X. Does that make sense? So if a level 4 adventure could level 8 dungeon, they'll get to level 8. No, that doesn't make sense. The equation breaks down really fast. That doesn't check out at all. All right. How about this check out? I'm not entirely sure, actually. Honestly, the level progression is the hardest thing to solve in this entire campaign setting. Like, actually, though. Right? Because, like, everything else is pretty easy. Rewards is pretty easy to do. Setup is pretty easy to do. World, I'll just kind of make it up on the spot. That's how West March is supposed to run. I have a basic idea, but I'll make it most of it up on the spot. We'll see. So the important thing here is designing for synchronous progression, asynchronous progression. If a level X adventurer needs level X encounters level up. So if you have a level 1 adventurer that goes to level 8 encounter, how many levels should they gain? I would argue that that's a pretty large risk. So the reward should be higher from a design perspective, right? So like 4 levels, X divided by 2. So the math over here is X is equal to 1, Y is equal to 8. If X is equal to 1, Y is equal to 8. Then what we're basically saying is Y is equal to 8X, right? Oh, no, I got it wrong. It's basically saying, so here, let me write this down real quick. I think there's a proper equation for this. I'm just figuring out right now. It's going in my head right now. Okay, it's going to be like this. It's going to be levels gained. Come on, Addy, write clearly. Levels gained is going to be equal to. So X and Y. So we're going to have to say encounter level. Divided by 2. Will that work? If a level 1 adventure goes to level 16 in encounter, then they will gain 8 levels. That's power leveling, man. That's super power leveling. If a level 2 adventure goes there, then they'll also get level 8. So that's imbalanced. Level 3 adventure goes, they'll also get level 8. No, that equation is 100% broken. That doesn't work at all. All right, so level gain equals encounter level, right? So the encounter level is like the highest shit. So like that just ends up making sense. So we the encounter level, like divided by 4 maybe. Level divided by 4, level divided by 3, divided by 4. Maybe divided by half encounter level. Maybe it's just minus. Maybe it's minus operation instead of division operation because we don't want to handle decimals. Maybe it's a floor operation. Who knows? We can round it down. That can make sense. So it's divided by 2 rounded down. So level 11 encounter, it would be like level 5. So it's not levels gained, it's new level. No. No. Encounter level, I'm on the right track. Encounter level minus player level, character level, care level, divided by 2. Encounter level divided by 2. Does that equation check out? Let me think about that. Let me think about it real hard. I think it's if you're a level 2 adventurer and you go to a level 4 if you go to a level 4 encounter, you're already underleveled. You will get 4 minus 2 divided by 2 at 1 level. Go to level 3. Okay, seems balanced. So instead of doing 2 encounters, you will do 1 encounter to level up. No, sorry. Instead of doing 5 encounters, you do 1 encounter, right? Because you need to do 3 to level 3, and you need to do 4 to level 4. 7 encounters. Jesus. That's a lot. I don't know that checks out. Maybe it does. I'm not entirely sure. I am not entirely sure that checks out. I think it could actually. I could be wrong though. No. Well, divided by 2 is not the right metric, right? If you're doing 1 encounter to skip 7 encounters, that's a lot of skippage already at level 4. Let's take one more number substitution to check this math again. So if we have a level 2 adventure going to level 4 adventure going to level 16 going to level 15 encounter, all right? No, that's way too hard. No one's gonna do that. That's dead sentence. That's literally a dead sentence. No one's gonna do that. Let's get a better example. Level 4 adventure goes to a level 7 encounter. All right. Then 7 minus 4 is 3. 3 divided by 2 is 1.5. 1.5 floored is 2. They will gain 2 levels. They will gain 2 levels. No. Yes. So they go level 4 to 6 for solving a level 7 encounter. That kind of seems busted. It kind of seems a bit busted. And there's no magic number except 2 over here, which is kind of busted. A tiny wee bit busted. Okay. You know what? The magic number is fucking us up a bit. Number 2 is fucking us up a bit. Here, let's try this. Car level. Does this fix our equation? If our encounter level is number 5 and our player is level 2, then 5 minus 2, and let's say this is all floored. So this is all floored. Then if that's the case, we have 5 minus 2, 3. 3 divided by 2, 1.5. 1.5 floored is 1. So a level 2 adventure goes to level 5 encounter somehow survives and gains 1 level for completing a level 5 encounter, which means they have skipped through 2 encounters for that level up. They did 1 encounter instead of 2 to level up. But if you take a level 2 adventurer going to level 6 encounter, now you gain 2 levels. So you skip 5 encounters. What you get in 5 encounters, you get in 1 encounter. So you skip 4 sessions to catch up. A level 6 encounter would destroy a level 2 adventure. Absolutely wreck house with them. There's no way they would survive. Like, literally no way they would survive. Yeah, there's no way. I think this equation works, guys. I think this equation actually works in terms of scaling for what I want in this adventure. I think this actually works. So I think if we do a level, let's use extreme numbers. Level 14 encounter, level 1 character. Level 13 encounter, level 14 encounter. 13 divided by 1 is 13. A level 1 character will gain 13 levels for clearing a level 14 encounter. But honestly, if a level 1 character can survive a level 14 encounter, then they probably deserve those 13 levels, man. I don't know. It's kind of busted. That's pretty fucking hard to do. Jesus. It's possible. It's really fucking hilarious if that actually works out, but it's possible. Could be cool way to flavor it too. Maybe I could add like a super insane caveat of like, if you gain 5 levels at once or more, 5 or more levels at once, come talk to me. Come talk to me in the office. Let's have a chat about that. Let's see how would that impact your character's like mental stability? How would it affect their grit or lack of grit? Like if a level 1 character survives level 13 encounter, does that make you a prodigy? Are you suddenly a prodigy, or are you like a abjuration wizard now because you just want to like shield yourself from everything because you're so scared? How would that affect your character? That'd be pretty fun. That's pretty fun. Damn. That's pretty nuts, man. Holy shit. Okay. That's pretty nuts, man. Alright, yeah, that makes sense. This is a hidden value. They don't know this. So you probably want to arrange your party so that this makes the most amount of sense. And it actually ease the burden on me, because then you don't have a level 1 adventure wanted to go on level 15 character, because then they get pretty badly fucked. We don't want that to happen. It's basically like a natural mathematical way of saying no to a person who's level 1 who wants to go to level 15 character. They can still do it if they wanted to. I'm not saying like a hard no. I'm saying you probably shouldn't. The math is saying you probably shouldn't. But if you decide to go, then it's high risk. It's really high risk, really high reward. I think that's really fun game design. That's really fun game design, I think. Could be wrong about that. Let me know what you guys think. The catch-up equation. The catch-up equation. This is the catch-up equation. Right over here. That's the catch-up equation. the encounter level on a floor is equal to the highest party member level. Yeah. The catch-up equation is this. It's more important in this form of like MMO D&D, Westmarch's D&D, to get the numbers and equations right versus getting the improv, the narrative stuff right. Because narrative stuff is all improv. I'm going to be spending like literally 10 minutes before an encounter preparing it. I need to spend more time worrying about people and the level progression, TBH, before I start like getting bored. Because I don't want them getting bored. That's the last thing I want in this West Marches campaign, is that the players are not engaged. That's bad addy. Bad DMing. Well, players can also have a huge part in whether or not they're engaged or not, but as a DM, I should be doing my best. Should be putting my best foot forward. So I think this equation over here is pretty molto bene. Nice. Nice. Nice, 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 nice. Yo, sick equations, bro. Sick math, bro. Progression math, bro. Damn. I'm feeling it. I'm feeling energized just by thinking about progression math. Yo, I love it. I really enjoy this kind of shit. This is why I'm a game designer. That's my calling in life. I found my dream job, bros. All right, let's talk about narrative progression. I think this is all we need to talk about in terms of level progression. Does this make sense? Are there any edge cases that I'm missing? Are there any edge cases that I'm missing? Let's think about it for a hot second. I think there's so we have catch-up equations for people at lower level and higher level adventures. What's the minimum this can be? If we have a difference of 1, what is it going to be? So here's the issue, right? If an encounter level is level 5 and level 4 adventurer on it, it's 1 divided by 4. It's 0.25 scaled to 0. So the caveat over here, random caveat over here. So 1 is if level gained is less than 0, less than 1, it only counts towards your level up reward. Actually, will the fraction work out? Because if you have 0.25, which is 1 divided by 4, so if you're a level 5 encounter and you go level 4 adventurer, so you're pretty close. You're pretty close to the encounter level. If you do a level 5 adventurer will get 0. It just counts towards 1 of their X level X encounters. But if a level 4 adventurer goes, that's 0.25, right? 0.25 would mean that it covers. So if you're a level 7 adventurer, then 0.25 of 7. So that's, what is the math here? Real quick. Just make sure I'm not doing a sanity check. Is it 4 by 7? I think it's 4 by 7, right? That's going to be it. No. Hold on a second. That's 4 out of 7. It's 0.25 of 7. Yes, so that's 7 by 4. That's going to be 1 point. That doesn't check out. Hold on a second. Am I fucking stupid? Is it 4 by 7? 4 by 7? Yeah, okay. 0.25. 0.25 times 7. That's it. That's the equation. What is it? God, my brain is so slow today. 0.25 times 7 is 1.75. So that's 2 levels. Okay, that makes sense. 0. Yes. Okay. So that's 2 encounters. 2 X level X encounters counting towards 7.
So fractions can be translated. Actually, they can. So if you're a level, so my point here is that if I'm a level 7 adventurer, sorry, if I'm a level 4 adventurer going to level 5 encounter, right? Then I'm getting 0.25 levels gained by the math over here. If it's not floored. If it was floored, it would go down to 0. So what is easier? If I consider the fractions, not considering the fractions. It doesn't matter if I don't consider the fractions. 7 minus 6, 7 minus 5. 7 minus 5 is 2. 7 minus 4. 7 minus 5, 2. So 2 divided by 4 is half. 4 to 0. 3. 7 minus 3. Sorry, give me a sec. Doing some big brain math here real quick. No, if you were level 4 going level 7 adventure, then you would have less return. If you're level 3 adventure going level 7 adventure, then you would have an instant level gain. You would skip 3 encounters in the sake of 1. Right? Okay, I need to consider this case properly. Because in the case of half, which is, let's say, 8 minus 5 divided by 4. Sorry, 8 minus 5 divided by 5. 3 divided by 3 divided by 5, that's 3/5. This is a random number off the top of my head. 3/5 of the level is 3 encounters out of 5. Why am I dying? This math checks out. This math just does itself. Why am I so... Oh my god. Okay, so here, check this out. This is just math. Math is beautiful. Math is actually beautiful. Okay, look at this. So if I have encounter level, let's say that there's an encounter level 8, right? Encounter level is 8. I can't draw 8s. 8. Okay, encounter level 8 minus character level. So character level, let's say the adventurer is level 5. Alright? So according to this equation, levels gained is equal to encounter level minus character level. So that's 8 minus 5. That's equal to 3. Right? Divided by 5. Character level. 3 by 5. Our earlier input over here is that an X level adventurer needs X level X encounters to level up. Therefore, if they did one encounter of level 8 difficulty, they would fill 3 out of the 5 X level X encounters to level up. Therefore, instead of doing 5 encounters to level up to level 6, they would only need to do 2 more. Because they already did 1 encounter which counts for 3. The fractions make sense, boys. The fractions make sense. Yeah, of course. The fractions make sense. Oops. Methinks the fractions do be making sense, mans. That's what I do be thinking right now. Nice. Okay. I'm actually really glad to be able to sort that out. I think that makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense. Alright. I need to take a small break. Just to relax and calm my brain down. Because we just solved some pretty insane progression math right here. This is game design, boys. This is what game design's all about. This is game design. Nothing else, just this. I apologize on behalf of everybody. Oh man. That's crazy. It's actually crazy. Since the math do be checking out, I can take a second to breathe. I did not expect this stream to get so, like, math heavy. I did not expect this, but I'm glad I went in this direction. I've learned a lot through this process. I think this is a lot of fun that I haven't had in a while with math. So, feels good. Feels good, dude. Feels real good. Feels real good, bro. Heck yeah. All right. I'm trying to figure out if, like, how much time am I supposed to be on stream for? Like, what would my schedule say? Where's my schedule? It's gotta be, like, somewhere. I just forgot where I put it. Apparently it's here. I'm just dumb. Apparently. Okay. Okay, cool. Well, if that's the case, let's just go ahead and, like, write this down and make it formal. So there's no floor operation going on over here. The floor operation does not exist. I'm gonna make my players do math. Jeez, I'm sorry, guys. I just gotta do a little bit of thinking about this. It'll probably work out. You know what I mean? God, I feel so rude. I feel so mean. But I think it makes sense. I think it really do be making sense. All right. If that's the case, I think we're doing good. All right. So what I'm gonna end up doing here is I'm gonna go ahead and target this and then remove this and write this down in, like, a way that actually makes sense in terms of fractions. If your LG level gained is less than 1 is a fraction. That's okay. That's okay. It means that the numerator is the number of encounters of x level x encounters, number of encounters of your level that you can cross off before leveling up. Example, if your fraction you can cross off before leveling up. So number of encounters of your level that you can cross off before leveling up. Yeah, that makes sense. So if your fraction is 3 by 5, it means that you can cross off. You only need 2 more level 3 encounters, level 5 encounters to get to level 6. You cross off 3 encounters. Okay, this actually introduces a new problem. And a new problem is like, what if there's overflow? What if there is overflow? And I think the answer to that question is like, if there is overflow into the next level, you level up and reset, and that's it. So if you were, it's improbable. I don't think that's gonna happen, but if it does happen, you just like level up and reset, and that's about it. Nothing else. Cool. I think that keeps it simple and keeps it easy on everybody. The only tough part over here is like some of the fraction math, but I think it checks out. I think people can do that much fraction math. I don't think it's that hard. I mean, I'm trusting trusting my players to do a little bit of math. If they're already rolling dice and adding numbers, like a little bit of division here and there is not a big deal. All right. But yeah, I didn't expect this to become such a huge math stream, but it turned out to be a math stream. But this is actually really cool. So now we actually have figured out progression in our West Marches campaign. And more specifically, the difficult design challenge of asynchronous progression. What happens if a level 1 adventure tackles a level 6 encounter? And I think that is really cool that we have figured it out because it adds to a lot of different potential. I think that's pretty cool. But I think the catch-up equation should only apply once you're level 2. Because if you have a level 6 encounter and you go to level 1 character, the level 1 character would literally get like, what, 5 levels? They'll get 5 levels in one go. But to be honest, like level 1 adventure has a really high risk of dying if they go to level 5 and level 6 encounter. That's just the way it is. That's the way it do be. I think that is good. I think I'm leaving it the way it is. Because if a level 1 adventure went to level 6 encounter and they have a high risk of dying, that's good. I want that lure to be really tempting. I want someone to try it. I generally want my players to go, I'm level 1 character, I'm going to do level 6 encounter, I'm going to see what happens. And then I want to like see how the encounter plays out. Because I have a good feeling that the encounter is going to really, it's probably going to kill them. Probably. With 80% confidence, it'll probably kill them. So, if you're level 1 adventurer, don't be stupid. Unless your party is like hell bent on somehow saving you, but also like keeping you alive. If they're okay with spending 300 gold worth of diamond to revivify you at the end of the encounter, then like, hey, death experience like makes you get 5 levels. I don't know. We'll figure out narratives later. Okay, we do gotta address narrative progression though, because in the West Marches campaign, narrative progression, what people often do is like, you know, in most West Marches campaigns, it's all improv, and then you have like diverging storylines, and like the keys are in different places, the locks are in different places. So trying to find the right key for the right lock is like its own. That's the whole challenge of West March's like multi-party system, rotating party system. But one of my goals in this West Marches campaign is to tie a complex narrative and make use of backstory, which means that instead of doing no work as a DM, I'm gonna be putting a little bit of work in, like once the sessions start happening. And this is what I wanted to say. So this is floor 1. So the setting's 100 floor, an X floor tower, like an SAO or Tower of God. So that's a setting that we're running with, which our survey results have told us that that's the setting we're running with. Then okay, we have the floor 1 narrative. So the floor 1 has like, again, we said 3 points of interest. 3 points of interest in floor 1 per floor, and then 1 dungeon to progress to the next floor. Cool. If that's the case, then what does that mean for our players? That would mean that on a floor, let's say that each POI, each point of interest, leads to a new narrative thread. Like it expands the narrative web. Okay, let's say one of them is a stub. The other 2 lead into some narrative plot over here. What ends up happening is in F2, let's say one of these plots picks up, and then in randomly, like in, I don't know, like fucking F6, like at floor 6, this narrative plot picks up, and let's say that F2 like leads into another like 3 different plots because they're 3 points of interest. Okay, let's say like there's one stub. Let's say there are 2 points of interest that lead into narratives. Let's say that a F3 over here like comes over here, and it turns out that one of F3's narrative plots hooks into like F6. Pog. And the other one kind of like connects to, I don't know, like a different plot somewhere. The diagram is kind of broken. We'll figure it out. I think it's broken because there's no bidirectionality to the graph. It's unidirectional at the moment. As they say, directed acyclic graph, but we want an undirected acyclic graph. Cyclic graphs. No, we don't want a cyclic graph. Directed acyclic graph. Undirected acyclic graph. Okay, so we will just do like this instead. So instead of doing like all of this, what's going to end up happening is we have F2. This is floor F2. F2. We're going to have a plot in F2 that conjoins over here. So this thread is picked up in F2. Okay, let's make it easier on ourselves. We should make it easier on ourselves. This is F2. Let's talk about a thread in terms of color. So this is the thread. It's yellow in color. This thread connects to F2. And then this thread continues into like F3 over here. F3 over here. And then we have floor 6 over here. And then it turns out that like F3 and like this floor 1 plot line connect into this floor 6 plot line. That makes it a little bit more easier to understand the web of nodes, because now we have converging plot lines. So somehow one of these things from earlier connects something from earlier. And like it's a-okay if some floors have like multiple stubs as well. Like what if a floor has like 3 points of interest? Okay, that's fine. Let's say there are 2 of them are stubs and one of them progresses a plot point. That's fine. Because any of these stubs can like later on be like, oh, I remember that happened in floor 1. Boop, connected all the way to floor 6. And it becomes a part of the plot. This connects over here as well. Right? The difficult thing for me to do is to maintain this network of plot lines. That's the biggest work that I'm gonna have to put into this campaign. Is maintaining a narrative beat, an understanding, an overview of all the plot lines. Cool. I'm feeling this. It's good. I'm genuinely like, I'm super hyped now. Because it's all coming together, Captain. All right. What do you think, chat? I wonder if there's any way to figure out. Are there any tools I can use to like make the narrative handling easier for me? Like Twine or something like that, maybe? Yo, I could use Twine. Why haven't I thought of this before? I have Twine, right? No, I don't. It's a new computer, so I don't have Twine. Shit. Fuck. Shit. All right. Wait. Twine. For those of you who haven't used Twine, Twine is an open source tool for telling interactive stories. Can I use it online? God bless. All right. Sick. Pog. Yo, let's go. So we have like a node over here. And we can like say this is plot point. This is plot 1. This is storyline 1. Storyline 1. And then I can like, how do I add a new node again? I forgot. Plus passage. There we go. Plus passage. And you can go in and say, this is storyline 1 on floor 2. Let's call this floor 2. So floor 2. Over here, floor 2. Damn, look at this rapid prototyping. Now we're moving around, Captain. All right, if you have floor 1 and floor 2 on this graph, what ends up happening is we can go ahead and what was the syntax? Yeah, something like this, but I forgot what it was. This is a link to the passage. This is storyline 1. Shit. Floor 2. No. Floor 2. Floor 2. There we go. And now if you look over here, boop, connects. And there's some way to, like, I forgot what it was in Twine, but you could connect it, like, you hyperlink it somehow. I forgot what the command was, but you could do it somehow. So if I was to go over here and, like, sorry, if I go ahead and press play, then you would have this floor 2. Boop. See what I mean? Pog. How do I exit this? Hello? Escape? Escape? Quit? Please? Oh, it opens up a new tab. Never mind. I thought it's HTML. It's all HTML over here. Okay, cool. So I can now use Twine as my narrative tool. Yay! Okay, it's coming together, Captain. So now all this graph work over here, I can just, like, basically just use Twine as my keep track of storylines. And progression, we have an equation. An equation that does everything for us. 2 equations, to be honest. We figured out that it would take a player 190 sessions, roughly, to get to level 20. And if a player was less leveled, because asynchronous progression, to catch up with a higher level adventurer, they can go in a higher level encounter, but levels gain is calculated by this equation over here. A level 1 adventure, so a level 3 adventure when a level 5, when a level 6 encounter, then they would get exactly 6 minus 3 divided by 3, which is 1 level from that encounter. Which means that they would instead of doing 3 plus 4 plus 5 encounters, they would just do 1. One really hard encounter instead of doing all the extra encounters. Sorry, they would gain 1 level exact. They'd get level 4. They would skip 3 encounters and get 1 level instead. That's how it works. Sorry. I know how this is working. It's fine. So yeah, if an encounter level is level 6 encounter, if it carried level 3, then that person would gain exactly 1 level for completing that encounter. So instead of doing 3 encounters of level 3 difficulty, they would have to do 1 encounter level 6 difficulty to get level 4. And the math just does itself. Equations are beautiful. Math is beautiful. What defines the difficulty of an encounter? The highest level party member. How can somebody cheese this? I don't know yet. We'll figure it out. I'm sure it'll go horribly wrong at some point, and then I'll have to rework the math. But for now, this is a good first step for iteration on solidifying how progression works in the West Marches campaign. And I'm proud of, like, what we've done over here. We figured out that a linear graph works surprisingly well. We learned that a 2x graph does not work really well. We finally did some hand math after a very long time typing calculator. Technology is making me dumb. We figured out it took us some time to figure out this equation, but we figured out the equation and it works really well. We understand how to do narrative tooling, and we understand how fractions work in this equation too. Okay, cool. Yes! I'm happy. That's some big progress. That just automates so much of my work. It genuinely just automates so much of my work. all I gotta do is like make sure that everyone in the character sheets like has some way of keeping track of how many encounters they've done. Maybe a spreadsheet of some sort would be useful for that, actually. Yeah. I'll have to ask my friend for some macros in Excel. I can figure out how to do a function in Excel, and then I could just like automate the entire thing. So I'd have to do no work once the campaign starts. They have to keep track of their timesheets, basically. That sounds too professional. Sorry. They have to keep track of how many encounters, how many adventures they've been on. Because that is what decides how many levels they've gained. Sick. Sick, dude. Alright. Cool. I think that's good. I think that's literally really, really good. So now that we have an understanding of this, I am satisfied with our progression system. God, this is so much fun. That's really awesome. So what I got to figure out now, we're kind of off screen a little bit, is going to be, so I'm just going to go ahead and like write it down over here. Can use twine for narrative progression. All right. So that's my notes completed. We have twine set up over here that works. That's critical role. I'm not going to spoil anything. We have this document over here that I'm going to go ahead and finish off. This is going to be the go-to document to like work on stuff. So progression, I'm going to fill this in today because now I finally understand how progression works effectively in terms of levels. That's great. Rewards is going to be the next thing to figure out for me, is how I'm going to do rewards. I'm actually gonna make the Excel sheet before I fill this in for helping them keep track of how many encounters they've been on. Or maybe I'll just like let them know. They can just figure it out themselves. You know what I mean? I'll make the Excel sheet optional. How about that? Checks out. I'm vibing. Today was a long and hard day at work, so having a chance to do some fun design on the side that isn't designing an MMORPG feels pretty good. Game design is my passion, and this is pretty neat. I gotta tell you guys, working on a video game is like working on a video game professionally is like handling a glass jar. Except that a glass jar consists of like different pieces of glass. It's like a kintsugi bowl. It's like this really delicate piece of like artistry that could break at any second. So you gotta be like super careful about not to like make a single mistake. That's a little bit of exaggeration. You can make mistakes, but like when you do, it feels really bad because it like just destroys a part of the game effectively. Destroys is also a pretty harsh word. It's more like it makes it unplayable. That feels bad. So I think you know the rules, the news about Outriders, right? I think the game that came out recently is that like they sent up a patch that kind of just destroyed people's like inventories. It just destroyed their inventories, and so like that's a small bug that they introduced into the patchwork because they were in a hurry, in a rush. They're probably crunching over there, honestly. So like because they introduced those changes into the game, it crashed their inventory system, and so what ends up happening now is that because of that change, like whoever pushed out that bug, or whoever didn't catch that bug, if QA didn't catch that bug, or the person who introduced it into the system in the first place did catch that bug, that's gonna feel real bad. That bug was caused probably because of just this one small interaction, likely. is a higher chance of it being a small system interaction rather than it being like a platform issue. So that's a lesson in game development, y'all. Working on triple games is like super hard, and the smallest shit can blow everything up. AAA games are hard to work on. Games are hard to work on, period. It's a miracle that they're even made in the first place, honestly. They're so hard to make. They require so many minds, so many creative and really intelligent minds come together with differing opinions, different backgrounds. And you have to coalesce and share alignment of vision and then pursue that. Dealing with these really complex systems. Computers were never made to make video games. And here we are in 2021. Anyway, that was a tangent. That was a rant. I was just thinking about that stuff today, so thought I'd share it with you guys. But that's gonna be it for this stream. I had a lot of fun working on math, D&D math, and trying to figure out how we can automate progression systems in our West Marches campaign. And we figured it out. We figured out the math for that, and I'm super happy that we did. But yeah, thank you all for joining. And honestly, like, if you have any questions, feel free to at me on Twitter. Feel free to like ask me a question on Twitter. Happy to respond. You can DM me if you want. I think my DMs are open. If you have any questions on stream, feel free to ask questions on stream. I'm happy to answer them. But yeah, I'm super excited I'm looking forward to like this D&D campaign starting up soon. I'm looking forward to getting all of this specific setup stuff done as fast as possible. I'm thinking of starting the campaign like middle of May. That's my goal. Middle of May or end of May. Because like at that point I'm going to be part of like 3 campaigns, including this one. That's a lot. That's one too many for me. But I think we'll figure it out. It's going to be interesting though, because I think this is one of the kinds of campaigns that I want to have a lot of fun running, because I don't have to worry about like thematic consistency. I can be creative with my worlds, with my like, because it's taking place in an X floor tower, right? So like each floor could just be a different world in and of itself, like its own pocket open world, basically. That gives me a lot of creative freedom, and it's something I haven't had in a hot minute, because other campaigns I've been DMing has been taking place in the exact same world. So getting a chance to explore like totally different concepts, totally different ideas in worlds is really exciting. So I'm looking forward to that a lot. That's gonna be hella fun. And it's a really good chance for me to meet new people. That's what Dean's all about in the end community, really. So I'm excited to make some new friends. Yeah. All right. But I think that's about it for now. I'm gonna stretch. Man, working a 9-to-5 job like on the same desk is like, bad for your body. I went on a walk, but that still isn't enough. I need to actually do some really hard workouts. All right, well, that's gonna be the end of the stream. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you on Sunday. We're probably gonna be dissecting some interesting designs. If you have any suggestions for what game you want to see dissected and analyzed, send it over to me on Twitter. Abby. Happy to take a look at some of the games and break down the design philosophies a little bit, ideologies. Yesterday we did NPCs and NPC AI and open world games. So I think something that'd be really interesting to explore is like something a little bit more like smaller, something a little bit smaller, finer, minute, impactful though. Maybe combat. Talk about combat. It'd be pretty interesting. Talk about innovative mechanics, maybe. Talk about aesthetic. Talk about game feel, game juice. Interesting topics. But I want to focus it on one game, and like just break it down totally. That's my goal. So maybe I'll play some more Persona 5 Strikers, and then figure it out, or maybe I'll play some Horizon Zero Dawn because I still haven't finished the DLC yet. So might play a DLC and see where that takes me. All right. With that, I'm gonna call it a stream. Have a good night, everybody. Take care. Take care of each other. And enjoy yourselves. Bye bye.